Primetime Seniors is brought to you by Home Helpers, committed to keeping you safe and independent at home.
Welcome to Primetime Seniors, living for today, making choices for tomorrow. We are coming to you today from Chela D. It is a very special consignment boutique off of Arrow Road in Hilton Head. You know, fashion is truly ageless. If you think about the style icons like Grace Kelly, Audrey Hepburn, Jackie O, style was important to them throughout their lives. But style doesn't have to be expensive. Later on in the show, we're going to speak with the owners of Chela D about how you can transform your look for very little money. But first, let's take a look at what's coming up on this episode of Primetime Seniors. Dr. Joseph Haven with Main Street Health Center will be addressing TMJ. Dale Planica with DMP Financial Services will talk about South Carolina income tax issues and how that affects seniors. Debbie Morris with Home Helpers will be bringing us valuable tips for the holidays. And we're going to meet Dr. Pete Stevens and learn about hyperbaric therapy. It's all coming up on this episode of Primetime Seniors. I'm here with Dr. Joseph Haven of Main Street Health Center, and we're talking TMJ today. Dr. Haven, good to see you.
Good to see you.
What is TMJ?
TMJ is actually the temporal mandibular joint. That's what TMJ stands for. The temporal bone and where it articulates with the jaw, okay, the mandible. The skull is actually made up of over 20 bones that are very tightly sutured together. The only exception is this temporal mandibular joint. It's the only joint that actually visibly you can see move. So when people say they have TMJ, what they really mean is they have a dysfunction of the TMJ joint, an aberration of the normal biomechanics of this joint.
So what would be some of the signs or the symptoms that somebody has TMJ?
They would get clicking when they open and close their mouth or try to chew or talk. You can get grinding of the teeth, pain right in the joint, pain around that area, headaches, dizziness, neck pain. The temporal mandibular joint is a very, very complex joint biomechanically and neurologically, and therefore has profound effects physiologically on the body. So there's lots of things that happen when you have an aberration in that joint.
So what causes it then?
What we find is stress. Okay, when we're under stress, we tend to tense up. That'll cause tension in all these upper cervical muscles and the muscles in and around the jaw. Any previous injuries, traumas to the joint, and most commonly is just a misalignment of the actual joint. Recent research done by dentists have shown that there's a direct correlation between temporal mandibular joint problems and a misalignment of the upper cervical, which of course falls directly into what chiropractors treat.
What would be some of the conventional treatments that have been used in the past to treat TMJ?
Medically, not a whole lot is done to actually treat the source of the problem. I think it's mostly symptomatic treatment. There are dentists who specialize in TMJ, and usually they're going to be fitting the patient with an appliance to minimize the grinding and the effect on the teeth, which is caused by the clenching and the spasms. And they may also work on altering or adjusting the bite.
So what would be your approach here at Main Street Health Center for someone that comes in, a patient who has TMJ? How would you help them alleviate the pain or relieve the pain?
What we do is we take an integrated approach to actually go after the source of the problem. Okay, so we would work with using our medical doctor, acupuncturist, chiropractors, therapists. We would go in and work on releasing the muscles that are in spasm, that are causing the clenching, realign the joint, use something like acupuncture for pain management, and then of course we have the medical doctor should any other needs present themselves.
Can you take me through, if I am a patient that arrives here at Main Street Health Center with TMJ, what's the process?
Well, when a patient comes in, we would do a thorough history. We would assess whether or not there had been any traumas to the joint. We would analyze the actual motion of the temporal mandibular joint by having the patient repeatedly open and close their jaw, mouth. In addition to that, referencing back to the correlation between upper cervical problems, we would take x-rays of the cervical spine as well. So we would analyze all of that, put all our information together, and then put together an appropriate care plan to correct the findings.
Well, Dr. Joseph Haven, I want to thank you so much. It's been really interesting.
Thank you.
And we will see you the next time.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll talk with Dale Planica of DMP Financial Services. But right now, Debbie Morris of Home Helpers has some great tips for the holidays.
Our Primetime Seniors tips are brought to you by Home Helpers, making life easier.
Over the past 5 years, Home Helpers has had lots of experience traveling with our clients. And from that experience, we've gathered a list of tips that we want to share with you to make your traveling, especially over the holidays, less stressful and to keep you healthy. Crowded airports, close quarters on planes, and celebrations with large groups will potentially expose you to the flu. So before traveling, consider getting your flu shot. Take along an extra set of hearing aid batteries. Travel with a thorough medical history and a summary of any ongoing treatments. It's always a good idea to leave a copy of this with a family member as well. Elderly travelers are less sensitive to thirst, so remember to please drink extra water. Check with your airline in advance to make special arrangements if you'll be traveling with a wheelchair or oxygen. If you're flying, ask for an aisle seat. Get up and move around. If you're traveling by car, take frequent breaks and walk around. Get up and move. The elderly are at a higher risk for developing blood clots. Stay with us. Later in the show, I'll be talking with Edwina Hoyle from Memory Matters for some special tips on how to travel with loved ones that have dementia.
Welcome back to Primetime Seniors. I'm here with Dale Planica of DMP Financial Services. It's that time. We're going to talk income taxes. You know, many states offer tax breaks for their seniors, and we're going to find out what is the going story here in South Carolina. First of all, though, Dale, South Carolina income taxes, how does that relate back to our federal income tax?
Well, that's a good question, Allie, and every state is different in this respect. But in South Carolina, your starting point is your federal taxable income, which means that South Carolina gives you the benefit of your federal personal deductions as well as your personal exemptions as a starting point. Now, from that point, they have additions and subtractions, primarily related to like South Carolina taxes. So if you had a refund that you picked up as income on your federal return, South Carolina will allow you to deduct that before coming to their taxable income. By the same token, if you had a state income tax deduction on your federal return, they're going to make you add that back. So those are kind of the differences you look for. South Carolina's rates go from 0 to 7%, and it's based upon the where you are in that range.
Okay, so obviously you want to fill out the federal return before you do anything with the state, I would assume.
Exactly.
What about seniors in South Carolina? Any kind of break as far as that goes, or?
Yeah, South Carolina is actually pretty generous. They first of all, they eliminate your whatever you've picked up on your federal return for Social Security benefits. So that's deducted completely, so you don't have to pay tax on that in South Carolina. Then they have a retirement income deduction, which basically, if you are under the age of 65 and you're receiving an IRA distribution or a pension, you can deduct up to $3,000 of that amount on your South Carolina return. Once you reach 65, that amount goes to $10,000, and if you're married, and both of you are over 65, you can both deduct that $10,000 of your retirement income before paying your South Carolina taxes. The other aspect is that there's a deduction for being elderly. If you're 65 and over, you can deduct a flat $15,000 on your South Carolina return. Now that amount gets reduced by the amount of your retirement income deduction, so it'll never be, the two of them together will never be more than $15,000. But it's, again, a nice benefit in South Carolina. Really
important information to know. What else do we really need to consider when we're filling out those returns?
Well, South Carolina offers a number of credits that apply not only to the elderly, but as well as to all of us. And they're really varied. And this, again, is why you really need to have an accountant who knows South Carolina laws if you've moved down here. And what you want to consider is looking at, you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all those credits. There's a credit for 2 wage earners if both you and your spouse are working, and that's pretty standard in a lot of different states. But then there are strange things. There's a venison charity credit. So if you're a meat packer and you're giving venison that you've dressed and you're giving it to charity, you can get a deduction for that. there's a premarital preparation course credit. So if you take a premarital course, you can get a $25 credit, and if you actually marry the person together, you can get a $50 credit.
Hey, that might be a little incentive for some folks. You never know.
Exactly. And the big one that sometimes is overlooked, especially here on the island, is the excess insurance premium credit, which basically says if your homeowner's insurance is greater than 5% of your adjusted gross income, you can get a credit on your South Carolina return for something like that.
This is all great information. Dale Planick of DMP Financial Services. Are we going to be talking taxes again in the future?
We are. We'll stress the federal side as we get into the next show.
All right. Thank you so much, Dale.
You bet.
You may have heard the term hyperbaric oxygen therapy, but what exactly is it and how can it help you? Joining me now is the National Medical Director of Hyperbaric Therapy USA and the Clinic Manager of Hyperbaric Therapy of the Low Country, Dr. Pete Stevens. Wonderful to see you.
My pleasure, Ellie.
And thanks for having us in. First of all, help those of us that aren't aware. What is hyperbaric oxygen therapy and how does it work?
Well, Ellie, it's been around for about 300 years. What it does, you're in a chamber, as you can see here, that is pressurized to different atmospheres, and you're breathing 100% oxygen. And what that does is increase the oxygen content in the tissues from 15 to 20 times normal. And that's what does the healing of the injured tissues in the body. Blood does not heal. Blood carries oxygen, and the oxygen does the healing. So now we're delivering 18 times more oxygen to the tissues.
What would be some of the treatment conditions that have been approved by the FDA?
The most common is the non-healing diabetic wound. Osteoradionecrosis, when you destroy a bone or other tissue from radiation for cancer treatment. Brain abscess is approved. Osteomyelitis, which is bone infection. The bends, carbon monoxide poisoning, non-healing flaps. Those are the more common things that they approve. Right now, they just added a new one. If you have an occlusion to the retinal artery that causes blindness, if you put those people in the chamber within the first 24 hours, you're going to save their eyesight.
How fantastic is that? What a wonderful feeling to be able to do that.
It just came under approval.
Wow. What about some of the clinical research, from my understanding, that's really being done on an international scale?
Well, internationally, they use this in many more maladies. And we have started working with Drexel University and Jefferson Medical College up in Philadelphia. And the ones that we find great success with is rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, MS, stroke. So concussion is the new biggie.
Interesting. And that's so prevalent with young athletes in high school and the like, and even younger, and of course professional athletes too.
It's life-saving.
Yeah, wonderful.
It's the only treatment for concussion is hyperbarics. There is no other treatment.
Wow, that is fascinating. Talk to me, if you can, about what a dive is. What is a dive? How does it work?
A dive is a treatment in a hyperbaric chamber. Okay, so we simulate going down a certain depth in the ocean. Typically, we'll go somewhere between 16 feet of salt water and 45 feet of salt water with 100% oxygen.
And are there any side effects with this at all?
This is probably the safest treatment in medicine, safer than taking an aspirin. The worst thing that can happen is barotrauma, where as you're diving, you feel like you're going down in an airplane, and you'll get some pressure built up in your ear.
Like when your ears before they pop on the airplane?
Exactly.
Okay.
And you swallow, and you open up that the canal, from the eustachian canal, and you equalize the pressure, and it goes away. That's the worst thing.
Now, if I am one of those people out there that's just heard some of the conditions that have been mentioned by you that are effective with treatment in this fashion, what do I need to do? How do I get started?
Well, you can call us.
Okay.
Just Take our phone number, call one of the techs or clerks will answer the phone.
Wonderful.
And can talk to you and see if you're a candidate.
Well, Dr. Pete Stevens, this has been absolutely fascinating. We're going to be coming back again and visiting with you in the future to learn more about this. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
And we want to let folks know that when we come back, Debbie Morris of Home Helpers will be with Edwina from Memory Matters. They are going to talk about how you can travel and do it well, perhaps if you're traveling with a loved one who's got dementia over the holiday season. So stay right there.
Welcome back to Primetime Seniors. We're now at Memory Matters speaking to Edwina Hoyle, who is our expert and our go-to person for Home Helpers staff when we have questions about dementia or Alzheimer's. And we're talking today about traveling, especially during the holiday season. So many of our clients, and I'm sure yours too, want to spend the holiday with their loved ones. But traveling is a problem. It presents a whole set of concerns. What's your advice?
My best advice is, if you don't have to travel, don't. There's so many issues that can arise with a person with dementia. Families need to understand that confusion, large crowded spaces, lots of noise, unfamiliar places really exacerbate an already bad situation.
Our experience has also been, Eddie, that time zone changes bring on all new issues.
Well, when you have wandering and sundowning and sleep deprivation on the part of the caregiver, imagine taking somebody from the East Coast and moving 3 time zones. Your wandering and your sundowning are not going to occur much earlier in the day, and they'll be up all night. So that's an issue as well. In addition to the unfamiliarity, I mean, consistency and familiarity and being with their loved one in a safe environment, that's hard enough. But then when you add, you know, the confusion of airports, getting lost, the possibility of getting lost is so real.
Yeah.
Particularly with spouses, where you have a male-female bathroom issue. So my best advice is to do 2 assessments. First of all, I think families need to assess the person with dementia. Do they get confused and agitated easily? Are they teary and weepy? Do they hallucinate? If those are issues, are there continence issues? You know, you might want to reconsider and give yourself permission to create a new holiday tradition. Have your family and friends come local, but not in your own home.
I love that idea. I love the idea of new traditions because so often we only think we can do holidays one way.
Right. And the guilt is like, it's always been done this way, so we have to. But when you think about the issues traveling, it's just monumental. The second assessment, Deb, is the caregiver should assess their own ability to travel with someone with dementia. What will you do if you know, your loved one goes into a restroom, comes out, makes a wrong turn, gets lost? You know, you should, if you have to travel, have a pocket or a badge or something with the caregiver's cell phone number on it and
so
information.
They can be contacted right away.
Right. And the caregiver needs to have a current photo if they get lost to be able to show security, etc.
These are great ideas.
Ask for wheelchair assistance from the airline. Even if you have connecting flights, have that service available, because how do you handle your baggage if your loved one wanders off? TSA says you cannot leave those bags.
And don't leave your loved one either.
Right,
so
exactly.
These are great ideas, and it's such a difficult thing. I'm sure that between the Memory Matters support group, which is open to the community for anyone who has a loved one with memory and cognitive disorders, a lot more ideas are exchanged, and we would encourage you to all call Edwina at Memory Matters and find out more, because travel is wonderful. Holidays are a time of celebration. We just want everyone to enjoy them in a healthy and safe way.
are back at Chela D with the owners Carol and Donna. And ladies, you can tell as soon as you come in here, this is not your typical consignment shop.
You're right, Allie. It's a lot different than a lot of consignment stores. We have been very lucky this year. We've made a vast improvement what we've been taking in. Beautiful things. We're only as good as the clothes that are brought in. We've been consulting with women. They bring pieces of their own in. We match things up for them. We've made a lot of friends this year. We always have cookies and coffee. It's a great place. The lighting's great. We have candles burning. It smells terrific in here. It's a lot of fun.
It is wonderful. And you're more than just friendly when someone comes in, aren't you?
We really are, because we enjoy people, and we enjoy the fact that we've made so many new friends in this store. And we have been doing this for a long time, accessorizing for people, and someone will come in and want that basic black dress, and I'll add a piece of jewelry and some dangly earrings and a beautiful shoe, and they stare at themselves in the mirror for about 15 minutes, and I'm very honest. I'm very, very honest, and I think that's another thing. Both of us are honest. We'll tell someone, no, we don't like it. And we've had people come back and say, I wore that outfit and everyone just loved it. And I want another one, and I want earrings, and I want jewelry. So it's a matter of just stepping out a little and enjoying, and especially with the economy right now, the ladies are thrilled with the prices. I mean, they really are. They can't believe the prices in the store.
Well, you mentioned the prices, so we're going to take a look at a couple of the outfits here, and you'll let us know what price range we're in, and I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised.
They will be.
Let's take a look.
They really will be.
Thanks.
Carol, you have some beautiful dresses for the evening. Let's talk about this one in particular. Stunning.
This is a stunning dress, and actually, this is the back.
Oh,
this is
no
the back.
kidding.
And look at the work in this dress.
Beautiful.
This dress retail would be well over $400, and we are proud to say at Chela D, it's only $60.
Wow, that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, $60 for a dress like this just seems like an incredible bargain.
We're very pleased with the prices here that the customers, our consignors allow us to keep everything down, reasonable.
Super. Now, you have less formal clothing or apparel available, too. Let's kind of take a step this way and talk about this, if you would.
All right, this is a lovely little outfit for a young girl that wants to go out, but she's busy during the day shopping with Mom, meeting some friends. Time has run out, and she wants to go out to a club that night, so she just has a little tote bag with her little cami and a beautiful piece of jewelry.
Nice.
And this would be a little bit over $100 because the jewelry is $40.
How about accessorizing? That works so well with that. Do you help people when they come in with that?
That's the fun part of this store. I love to do that. That is, you know, we have so many women that dress beautiful, of course, but they're just a little bit afraid to step out. You know, I can't wear big clunky jewelry, or I've never done lace. So we accessorize, we let them look at themselves, we tell them they look great when they do, we're very honest. And we've had feedback where they've come back and said, I want to dress like that all the time. I want to wear those clothes.
Well, I want to thank you so much. This has been really super. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I really, Donna and I want to thank everybody. And
we'll be back
fun.
again.
It was
we'll be
really
back
fun.
Again.
I enjoyed it.
And we want to thank all of you for watching Primetime Seniors, and also our other participants in this episode as well. Dr. Joseph Haven of Main Street Health Center, Dale Planico with DMP Financial Services, Dr. Pete Stevens and the team at Hyperbaric Therapy of the Low Country, and Debbie Morris with Home Helpers. Until next time, live Primetime, seniors.